Hey, Paula.
Hi.
Am I a number 8 hit in the United States Billboard Hot 100 in the year 1990, as performed by George Michael? Because
What?
I'm Freedom 90, baby.
Yeah.
I got a negative COVID test.
And it only took you 23 weeks.
Yes, exactly. I'm a full year older. No. So, folks, I know I mentioned this a couple weeks ago that I had tested positive for COVID and was recovering from that, and that was part of the
from all the spitting parties you were going to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The thing is, like liquor's gonna lick. So
yeah, Josh was just walking down the street going, "Spit in my mouth."
Oh. That is gross to me, but no kink, no shame. Being very good, limiting social interaction, wearing a mask all the time outdoors, and still happened, but I'm feeling so much better now, and I had been feeling better for a couple of weeks, but I had been getting indeterminate tests and things like that, and I now have a negative test. So I'm allowed to go outside again.
Yay!
And I go outside, and I'm only allowed to go outside within the constraints of, like, it's still a pandemic. I'm still wearing a mask. I'm still socially distancing and things like that. But it is a big win to be able to go into a Walgreens and buy something.
When you need something, not having to text people being like, who can get me this?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Or pay the upcharge of, like, Instacart to go spend 3 hours to find Flonase for me.
Yeah. Because you couldn't even go on, like, a walk around the park by yourself.
Right.
You were inside.
I was indoors, keeping to myself. The most I basically did was, like, I'll sit on my porch. Yeah. So very excited. I will say got a little bit too emotional in a way that I wasn't expecting when I walked over to Walgreens, which was the first place I went during the day. That I went inside of a building.
Did you cry?
It was the feeling of, like, when you touch your face and you're like, why is it wet?
Yeah.
Because you're just smiling and you're like, I didn't realize I was emotional, but I think
when you see the birth of a child.
Yeah. Or, like, being rightfully exonerated after a long and arduous trial where I was framed for the murder of my family.
Yes. Yeah, that kind of emotion.
Yeah, exactly. But, I needed to pick up some allergy meds and some aluminum foil.
So it's the same thing.
Same kind of energy.
Well, Josh, I'm glad you're feeling better.
I appreciate that. I think the main thing is just everyone, like, continue to be safe. We assume that our listeners are conscientious and empathetic. But if you're not, and even if you are, keep being safe, keep wearing a mask, keep distancing, because this thing is incredibly contagious, along with all the other crises that are going on in the world.
You know what? I had my first run-in with somebody I know, low-key finding out she's a conspiracy theorist about this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was like, she's, like, posting on Instagram, like, regular stuff,
Sure.
Pictures of, like, and I don't know her well, but, like, I know her. She's posting on Instagram stories like, here's my cat, here's the sunset, regular stuff. And then all of a sudden there was a big long text post about, like, the government is trying to warp your brains. This is a lie. Like, COVID isn't real. Like, it was like, what is this? And then the next post was back to cat stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was very surreal. Like, I had to read it 3 or 4 times because I was like, this is not.
This is either satire that doesn't work.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Ugh. Welcome to Being Earnest, a very sincere podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Paula.
And we are here to talk about the sincere and earnest topics of the day.
Yeehaw!
We're not doing another yeehaw episode, Paula.
Yeehaw! Josh, what's our topic?
Bones.
Give me your bones.
Good bones.
Good bones.
They always say that with houses, like, this old house has good bones, on this old house the PBS show about a bunch of New England guys all with the same name, Bob.
Or on the network that is exclusively about homes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I prefer the 1970s PBS local access New England show,
Sure.
This Old House.
Sure. Oh, I'm familiar.
I guess my question is, do you think there are bones in some of those old houses?
I think every house has bones in it. Every old house.
Every old house has bones somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And every new house is probably on top of some like ancient pioneer burial ground or something. You know?
What if the secret ingredient to I know that like architects have figured out a lot of really amazing ways to make structures stay upright, right? So, you know,
wood,
yes.
beam,
Steel, all these kinds of things. And like, you know, even in earthquakes, to react to that, Chicago is famous for raising the city and figuring out how to make skyscrapers in the first place, especially on marshy land, all this kind of stuff. What if the secret ingredient is just sprinkle in a little bit of bones?
a little bit of bone juice.
Yeah, it's the thing it's the polymer that holds the steel together.
I mean, bones are obviously strong. Sorry, I don't mean to get real full-on scientist here. I famously have a few degrees in science, but bones strong.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if drink milk.
Right. Bones strong, drink milk. Wood weak.
No, don't drink milk. Drink sap.
Houses should be made of bones. Obvious.
Can you imagine how ominous that would be and how many people's bones you would need to build a house?
It does make me think we're getting so dark immediately. We're obviously at that point in the pandemic where we're like, fuck this. What if you built homes out of dead bodies?
Yeah. Well, in this Mad Max reality, we're the bonies.
You know, but we're talking about this. We're laughing. And it occurred to me that that's what they low-key used to do. France was like, hey, we're going to build a catacomb. It's going to be made entirely of bones. They did that in Italy, like all over the place in ancient times because everyone in the past was a freak. They kept being like, should we hide the bones? No, we should make a tunnel from them.
So here's the take that I'll take on this is I think that everyone in the past was a hoarder because most people economically in the past didn't have anything, right? No,
I mean,
nothing.
They had like a couple of rocks and a rotten potato. I'm Irish, so that was just my family. But.
Sure. So with the catacombs, I think what's happening there is they're looking at it and they're like, I really don't want to bury this in the ground in a way that I can't see it because this is my brother Rolf. But I also can't just have this lying around the house. Like Rolf is dead. So why don't I just add him to our bone tunnel that we've created, and I can always visit Rolf when I need to.
I really would love to be there for the pitch meeting for the catacombs. Like, because it was by monks.
Sure.
Right? Like Catholic monks?
It's like all the dead bones of the Catholic monks who were
from
that monastery.
There has to have been one of the monks, because Paris in the day was like just a sea of bones everywhere. And then somebody had to have been like, hey, what should we do with all these bones? And another guy went, I've got an idea.
Bon appetit, am I right?
And then people paid money to go walk through them.
Yeah.
No thanks.
What if the pitch was like the tunnel of love? Where we are going to kiss on the mouth and we'll
tunnel d'amour.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's sur la table.
Yeah. And so
I assume everyone in France speaks the same level that I do. Like they all speak like 2 college classes in it. Yeah,
exactly.
They're not speaking like full sentences. It's like a lot of like them talking and then them pointing out that the sky is blue.
Yeah. And like only maybe a couple conjugations on the verbs.
Yeah. They're just constantly saying I am good. What's your name?
Yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, what if like just because everyone in the past was freaky, they were like, oh man, I really want to get one of our patented Frankish smooches, which is what they called French kissing back in the day,
Yeah.
before France was a nation state. And so they've got a crush on, I don't know,
Bones.
Mary, and they're like, I just want to get some kisses from Marie, but how can I do it? Oh, we have the bone tunnel. That also sounds like they're gonna bone if they're in the tunnel, which is a
Digging
very
yourself
different.
into a hole.
Literally.
Did everybody go along with it? Was everybody like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should make little pictures in the tunnel out of bones.
Yeah.
Like this one guy just had like, he just was so passionate and he had such a vision that everyone's like, well, maybe it won't be that weird. And then I got done and they were like, shit, this is weird.
Well, maybe it's a situation where it's become a word, but it really was a proper noun first. Like it's like Catherine A. Comb. And so it was like a cat a comb, like Kleenex. But then it's just like they made so many of them that they were just called catacombs now. But it was like an art piece by this one individual.
No, thank you to that person, I say. Bones belong where I can't see them.
Well, they were like Chihuly, just in their own time. Everyone, you do.
What is a Chihuly?
Chihuly, it's like he's an artist who blows glass, and it looks like big monsters.
I can't believe you are coming onto this podcast with the energy of dropping the name of a glass blower and then being weirded out that I don't know the name of this glass blower.
He's like the most famous glass blower that's living right now. But
that's okay. Not saying anything. There's like 4 of them.
That's why he's so famous. Paula, can we go back to a sentence you just said, which is bones are best where I can't see them?
Yes.
I could not agree more with that statement.
I don't want to see a bone. I don't need to see it. I want to see a dinosaur bone, and that's it.
You know that they actually got a dinosaur wrong.
What?
I can't remember which one it is. And I refused to look it up, and we already had a dinosaur episode. But
Stegosaurus.
But it's like
Paleosaurus.
It's like brontosauruses don't exist. They basically took the back of one type of dinosaur and thought it went with the front. They basically just mashed together like a Frankenstein kind of situation. They're like, this is one dinosaur. And then they looked at it again a couple years ago and they're like, this is not one dinosaur.
Not one. That's very fun. And I hope the ghost of those dinosaurs are walking around the museum being like, this is embarrassing. They think that tail goes with this head.
Freaking dum-dums.
Dum-dums.
Which opens up a hypothetical I'd like to ask you, Paula.
Sure.
Which is
a hypothetical?
I know. Let's say and I'm not saying I want this to happen, but you meet your untimely demise, unfortunately.
Josh!
I know.
Well, it's kind of weird because I don't actually have the ability to die.
Okay, well, that's why
for that.
It's why it's a hypothetical. Yeah. So your bones, we take your bones, but you get the ability to.
Why do you have my bones in this situation?
It's in your will. We've gone through this. We had a whole meeting with our lawyers last week.
And I gave you my bones.
Yeah, well, what you wanted to do, if I could finish the hypothetical, is that you said, I want to be buried where my top half is my bones, and my bottom half is another animal's bones. Just to freak out archaeologists. Yeah, in the future.
Yeah.
Which animal would you want to freak out future archaeologists with and pretend like some part of your body is an animal?
I mean, a fish or a horse are kind of the two big options. Because a fish is like mermaid, a horse is like centaur girl. Mm-hmm. But why are we getting normal with it? I would love to be
the two classic teen girl obsessions: mermaids and centaurs.
I think I would pick a big duck. Big duck.
On the bottom half, like your Daffy Duck in it? Or like, do you have a bill? Is it kind of like 50% is spread throughout?
I want the bill on my stomach.
Oh, interesting.
Why? Let's screw this up a lot.
I guess if we're playing God, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you pick?
I think I would want almost everything to be human, but then like a couple flourishes that make it look like I'm a missing link in some way, like just like a half tail, but also like flippers on the feet. And they're like, did he emerge from the ocean? Could he climb trees?
We don't know a lot about this little thing.
Or just like little things like my rib cage is a bear's rib cage. And they're like, how would this be supported?
Is.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like one leg is a bear leg and one isn't. And they're like, how did this evolve? Or did he cut off his own leg and attach a bear leg?
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, in the future, everyone in the past is dumb and everyone in the future is going to be smarter than us.
Sure.
So you think you're pulling one over on them, but they would do that and being like, okay, well, look at this freak. Thought he could trick us. They're going to know the answers to everything. Josh, have you ever broken a bone?
So, unclear. So, I have never officially like had to go to the hospital or a doctor and like because I broke a bone, because I'm a wimp and I generally don't like to get hurt.
You've duct taped your body together so the bones cannot. The bones are all duct taped together.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I actually had invasive surgery. Yeah.
Taposaurus, tapiotomy.
Yeah. Osteotapology is the field of study. But it's been a not that the pandemic hasn't been kind of a lot, but like the past 6 weeks have also personally, on a very personal level, been a lot because right before I got sick, I just bonked the absolute bejesus out of one of my little toes. And it got so purple. And I had to do the like buddy tape thing where you like tape it to the toe next to it. And it got mostly better within like a week or two. But I still have, when now that I'm feeling better and I'm working out a little bit more, like it still like barks a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the problem is it was a pandemic. I didn't want to go to the doctor to check if I broke my toe. And the thing that they would have told me is like the same treatment you would do for if you didn't break your toe, which is tape it up.
To say, yep.
Tape it up. Yeah, exactly. So my answer to that is a resounding maybe.
Okay.
How about you, Paula?
I've broken many bones.
Interesting.
The two notable ones are there was a day last winter. If you're not from Chicago, we have this thing called horrible winter. And the streets, the sidewalks were covered in ice. Covered in ice. So it was like a really bad day and I was going to work and I was making an Instagram video inside in my stairwell and I fell down the stairs and I broke my ankle. That was really cute. I was in a big boot for a long time.
I remember that.
Yeah, fractured. I broke the same ankle 3 times.
Oh my God.
That was one of them. I broke another. I was making a documentary about cat shows and I was walking backwards with the camera and I tripped. And when I was in college, completely sober. It's going to sound like a drunk story. It was not. Completely sober. I rolled out of my bunk bed in the middle of the night and I fractured a rib.
Oh my God. I've heard that's incredibly painful.
Yes, it is. It is. And it's one of those things that's like, it hurts so bad and they have to do an x-ray like your ribs because if something's wrong, it can get your organs.
Yeah, it can puncture them.
When they find out that you fractured a rib, they go, dang. No treatment.
Oh, you just wait it out.
Yeah. So I'm a little bone monster.
Oh.
But I do have a weak ankle and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything useful. Like I can't tell the weather from the ankle. I would love if it was like my trick ankle is telling me it's going to rain, but
sure. Yeah. Or, not to bring this up yet again, but in like a rookie of the year situation, because you've broken your ankle, once you've broken your ankle, you become an amazing soccer player. But then once it heals, you lose the ability to bend it like Beckham.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only cute fun trick it does is it sometimes still gives out while I'm walking.
Oh, good. Ugh. Well, you were about to sign that 4-year max contract, but
know.
if you can't, it's really hard to do a jump shot if you can't jump. Paula,
Yeah.
if let's say when you hurt your ribs, you had to do a full ribectomy and they had to give you a new pair of ribs and
They
you had
did.
yeah.
They did.
So with the old ribs,
Yeah.
you think if you had the right mallets and the right amount of skill, you could play it like a xylophone?
Like they do in the movies?
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I don't think it would sound quite as crystal clear.
Sure.
But I think it would sound pretty good.
Yeah, it feels like that could be a side gig where you could work with a Philharmonic Orchestra for their for their spooky Halloween concert.
Spooky. Or how fun would it be if all xylophones were shaped like rib cages, like we were in the Flintstones?
And all of our cars were foot powered, and we got to slide down a dinosaur.
Can you imagine? That's one thing they don't really talk about in the Flintstones is everybody had to have had absolutely ripped calves and feet.
Oh yeah.
Like, just disgusting bulging foot muscles.
Oh yeah, and just calluses for days. Like a full sandal of calluses, a full inch. Like that you could pump up like it was a Jordan.
And they had to have been so veiny.
Oh yeah.
Just absolutely bodybuilder style calves and below.
Yeah. Also because
never saw that.
There's not a lot of food, so theoretically all of them are just all lean muscle.
Oh yeah. And
3% body fat.
They could just be kicking asses all day long. It would just take one kick.
It's actually the opposite of those guys who only go for the vanity muscles in the gym where you're big buff top, tiny noodle legs. It's the opposite. It's just just an absolute dump truck that back there.
Yeah.
From just all the squats and running and things like that. And then up top, they're like, hello, my name is Kevin.
You heard the Flintstones and the first name you thought of was Kevin?
Yeah.
Kevin Flintstone?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. It's a new cool Flintstone for a new generation, Paula.
Hi, I'm the punk rock neighbor, Kevin.
Yeah. Can we talk just for a quick second? I know we did an entire dinosaurs episode, but how much would it suck to be the dinosaur that had to be the record player? The needle?
Yeah.
Your whole job is sitting there and just getting your face pushed into a vinyl.
Well, none of those dinosaurs had it easy, bud.
It's true.
The shower ones, you just had to watch these naked people.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Were they unionized?
The dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Well, they did constantly say stuff like, it's a living.
Right, exactly. So theoretically, they're getting paid in what?
Yeah, rocks.
Do they have workers' rights? Do they get to take a Union 15?
Well, the dinosaur union is actually the reason we have weekends.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Thank goodness for those trailblazers.
Josh, wheeling the car away from human bones, a disgusting topic that I never want to think of again.
Sure.
I would love to talk about the most important thing in the world, doggies.
Oh, very good. Paula, I'm so sorry. Can I just grab the wheel and just for one lane come back over? Didn't you last year go to an oddity shop and buy a human bone? Am I remembering that correctly?
No. Okay. So I do have, I do really like oddity shops. I do have, if you were to come over, which you can't right now, but one day.
Your address is.
Beep. I do have several models of teeth. But those are from the dentist, they're not human teeth. And I have a beaver skull. So I have a couple animal things, but I do not fuck with human remains. Absolutely not.
Cool.
Now, what you are thinking of is this scenario. I want to be really clear. I would never have human remains in my house. Number one, I feel like it's kind of disrespectful. And number two, I already have a ghost in this apartment. I'm not looking for more.
Sure. Occupancy full.
I have enough. Okay. I did go to this like oddities flea market in Chicago. It was super cool. It was just like all these like weird curiosity shops like came. And there was a bucket of finger bones, human finger bones, real.
Your tarsals, your metatarsals.
You tell me how much you think a human finger bone sells for. And don't try to get cute with this. Tell me what you think a human finger bone would sell for.
Adult?
Yeah. Well, we think. And it wasn't the whole bone, so it didn't look
just like each of the joints. Yeah.
Just pieces of the bone.
Yeah. I don't know. Like somewhere between $15 and $30.
$3 a bone.
It's a pretty good deal.
No, exactly. I am not here looking for finger bones. Again,
Sure.
like I said, I'm not messing in the human remains category. But when I saw that, I'll be damned if that's not a great deal for finger bones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out here looking to buy.
Sure.
But if someone was, this is the place to do it. That's a deal.
Yeah, and also at a certain point, you know how people use like read tea leaves and things like that?
Yeah.
Reading bones is also a traditional like oracle kind of thing. So if you could tell me that it was $3 for these bones and I'm going to know the future if I buy a set of 5.
And a set of 5 is going to cost you $15. I mean, again,
for knowing the results of various future events.
I'm not saying it's the same thing as like if you told me like, hey, that huge yacht is $5,000. I'd go, I'm not in the market for a yacht. I don't have $5,000. I can still tell you that seems like a hell of a deal.
This is our new segment brought to us by Paula, which is Now That's a Deal.
That's a deal.
Where we point out things that we wouldn't buy. But if that's your bag, you should buy them.
If that's your bag, that's a steal on human bones. And I'll tell you what, as a human, I would find it disrespectful if they were selling my fingers for $3 a bone. These little things can play some songs on piano, not a lot.
I want at least $7.50 for each of my little piggies.
I mean, that is absolutely wild.
It is.
So, yeah. I mean, and I'll tell you what, I posted a picture on my Instagram, probably where you're remembering it from.
Mm-hmm.
I said, doesn't this seem like an amazing deal for bones? And all these people messaged me saying, no, too expensive for bones. That's wrong.
Huh. How much do you think the bones from, like, did you ever have to dissect owl pellets in elementary school?
Yeah. I wanted to be a doctor. I took a nat and phys. I took I've had to dissect cats and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the like fetal pigs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but full on cats hit by a car that they shoveled in a bag.
And just put a lot of formaldehyde in there.
And as it turns out, I just like the show Grey's Anatomy. I did not want to be a doctor.
So we were talking about dog bones.
Sure.
And you had a question.
I can't really tell you what it was, but I'm assuming it was really good. Do dogs actually chew bones?
Yeah, for sure.
Do they?
Yeah, I mean, when I had Theo a couple weeks ago, I was fostering a dog named Theo. He was amazing. Big moo cow. Oh. Absolute A+ snuggler. And then I got sick. But Theo would not play with any toys except for the rawhide bone that I got him.
So he's actually into bones.
Oh, yeah. The only thing he wanted was bones and to chew on it and figure out and get the marrow bone out of the inside of it and things like that. And it is a thing that, like, from everything I've read and all the rescues that I've talked to, I fostered through One Tail at a Time. Amazing organization here in Chicago. They're a no-kill shelter. And they're just absolutely killing it in the pandemic. Check out their stuff and support them.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things that they always talk about is like ways for dogs to decompress. Like chewing on a bone is literally like a way to let out energy, let out stress, things like that.
Kind of like dogs. A meditation for them.
Yeah, or like a yoga kind of situation.
So when you bought the bone, how much did that bone cost?
Great question. I went to the local pet store that is on Damon. Paula, what's their name? Four Legs? Something
Four
like
legs. Four legs. If you're in Chicago, it is the best pet store in Chicago.
Yes.
I love them. They're so nice.
Yes. And they were amazing. I got a couple of toys because you can't get plush toys right now. You can't for the foster system. Like, it's too much chance of COVID. So I bought a couple toys and I bought a bone just to figure out, because like Theo was coming in from like he hadn't had a foster yet. So I wanted to get him like one of everything just to see what he was interested in. And they were amazing and like threw in some extra like jerky stick kind of things or like bully sticks. But I think that marrow bone was like $7, $15.
That's more expensive than a human finger.
Well, it was also like a full bone, like 8 to 12 inches long, as opposed to like a human finger, which is like 3 inches.
Still.
2 inches, 1 inch.
My main interaction with a dog is Simon, our family dog.
Sure.
And Simon, for listeners who do not know, is a perfect angel. He is a 9-pound Maltese. He does insist on wearing a shirt at all times. He can't eat protein because he ate grapes once and it ruined his kidneys.
Oh,
so like his like treats is like a little bit of frozen banana and like a spoonful of pumpkin. And so and he's, absolutely the best, absolutely the prissiest little dog.
Sure.
Like doesn't like to be cold, doesn't like to be wet, doesn't like to be hot. I absolutely love this dog so much.
This sounds very similar to me as a dog. I do insist on wearing a shirt.
You do. And it's weird. But that's my only, like, that's how I understand dogs. And I feel like he's not a very good example of that.
Sure.
I'm like, dogs going crazy when they see a green bean.
A single solitary green bean.
Dogs making my mom turn on a heated blanket so he can lay on it even in the middle of summer. It's like, it would be like as if the only human being that was like a little prince.
Yeah, sure.
That's how they're all like.
Yeah.
And Simon would never touch a bone. He would be like, that's tacky. It's disgusting. I'm not doing it.
Yes. Me, a bone. It's been done.
Don't you have caviar?
Yeah.
Or a single bean?
I'll take either. So Paula, I don't want to go blue here, but I'm gonna. So folks, if you have small children listening to this podcast,
let them listen.
That's a hard world out there.
Now's our segment. Josh gives your kids the birds and the bee talk.
Yeah, no, but
birds and the bee, one singular bee.
Yeah, and a lot of birds. It's about polyamory. Paula, why do we call it a boner? There's no bones in there that I'm aware of.
Josh, maybe you should save this for your other podcast. Being nasty with Josh.
Getting nasty with Josh Linden. Gross. I don't like that at all.
Ew. I would say I hear your question and I respond by saying, if you had to have your bones made out of a type of food, what kind of food would you pick?
Just to clarify, in this game, it is forever, and I get one choice.
One choice.
And I am forced to choose.
Yeah, you can't just be like, no.
Got it. A witch has me at gunpoint. Want point.
Oh, it is at one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gun.
Okay. Well, the gun would be just as effective as a wand.
Sure.
Okay. So here's my thinking. My first initial reaction was mashed potatoes. Not a great structural.
I'm sorry. That's the worst answer.
I know. So it was the first thing that came into my head, but then I was like, I'll just be mush boy at that point.
Yeah, you would just collapse.
Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking. Carrots.
Why?
Structurally pretty sound.
Come.
Long shelf life.
Okay.
So it's not like, because here's the problem. If your bones start turned into a food, you have to be worried about the expiration date of that food.
That's true.
Also, I would think that through osmosis, at a certain point, they say that when you eat carrots, it makes your eyesight better. Maybe I'll just have supervision and I won't have to wear glasses anymore because the carrots will just do all the work for me.
All right, not a bad answer.
Yeah, thank you. I could also just be like, "What's up, doc?" and point at my arm, and people will be like,
Everyone will
"What?"
be like, well, we don't really understand because we can't see through your skin.
And I'll be like, "But if you could see through my skin,
This
there are
would be-
carrot. I have carrots instead of bones." And there's
Yeah.
like, "Isn't that uncomfortable?" And you're like, "Sometimes, but I promise it's true." And they're like, "You're pulling my leg." And then we go to the doctor and we get an X-ray, and they're like, "Wow, that really is a carrot." And we're like, "Yeah."
Day every day, the doctor says, "Quit coming here."
I have a high deductible plan.
Playground.
Yeah. Paula, what food would your bones be?
You know, I think my gut reaction is, you know, when you were a kid and you would go trick or treating on Halloween,
Mhm.
and you would get those horrible Mary Jane taffies.
Yes.
Like they were those, they were very, very hard taffies, and you've never seen them for sale in a store, but yet somehow people found them. I think those. Couple of reasons. Number one,
Yeah.
very strong. Number two, never gets old. Number three, no one would ever want to eat me.
And if someone wanted to eat you, you'd be like potentially a little bit pliable.
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa.
If I did yoga.
I am posting an Imatra thing real fast.
Perfect.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's going to get this one in time.
That's okay.
But-
I'm also deeply hungover, so I may not have a ton of time too.
Yeah.
I am to a point where I'm ready to lie down.
Yeah. Let's finish up. Okay. I think that's going to do it for us.
I think that's gonna do it for us.
Thank you, as always, for tuning in for another week. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate you all. This is honestly a highlight of my week, being able to talk with Paula and create and be goofy. And hopefully it's a highlight for you when it goes in your ears.
And my highlight of the week is when I get to go to the grocery store. And also this.
Yay. If it is a highlight for you and you haven't written a review yet, it would just make us feel so excited inside. Like legitimately, whenever we get a new review, Paula and I take a screenshot and text each other back and forth.
Yes. And I also realize that like it's so easy to like not take the time to do it. I understand like being like, that's going to take time, but I promise it takes 30 seconds. And Josh and I really do love it.
Yes, it really makes us happy. Also, if you're liking the podcast and you have written a review, or even if you haven't, and you have a friend who you think might like the podcast, just suggest your favorite episode. Pick it out, send it to them unannounced, and then
listen to this, you son of a gun.
Yeah, and then threaten them until they do it.
Yeah. And I should say that we are officially opening up to sponsors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we are.
So that is coming up. But if you or you know someone who would be interested in sponsoring, getting an ad on the podcast, reach out to us at beingearnestpod@gmail.com and we can hook you up with the information for that.
Yeah. Or just, DM us at beingearnestpod on any social media.
Yes. Josh, do you have an earnest moment?
Yeah, I think just very quickly, when I was able to get out of my self-isolation and quarantine this week, I went back outside and I took a socially distant walk and sat in the park with my friend Jared, and it was really lovely. And we were walking around on Friday evening, and I said, unironically, out loud, "Has it always been this loud outside?" Just like a moment of like I was a time traveler and Jared had picked me up from the past and was like, "We need you to save the United States of America." And I'm like, hold that thought.
It feels loud.
Yeah, well, it's really loud outside. Like it wasn't this loud in my time. The founding of
What's that
America.
moving metal thing with wheels?
Yeah, exactly.
Kill it.
Exactly. Yeah, just what's the hustle and bustle of the big city? The
Yes.
music of the city? What is this? It's invigorating yet scary.
My highlight, that's a really good one, Josh.
Thank you.
Mine is I took a little social distance trip to meet my friend's new puppy outside. And his name is Wally.
Very good. Good puppy name.
My friends Tess and Ben got a new puppy named Wally, and he's a miniature Bernie Doodle. And he looks like a tiny little bear, and I love him so much. And I brought him a couple little presents, like a little toys, and he just immediately latched onto the squeaky taco. And I was like, I feel as though I feel so happy that he selected my toy.
Yeah, that he would deign to select your toy.
Yes.
And I'm sure your friends are super excited about all that squeaking.
I know. I was like, oops.
My parents had a rule that whenever they bought if I was going to another friend's birthday party as a little kid, they would never buy a gift for the other kid that had noise, because they're like, we've been there.
Yeah, that's probably very nice.
But it's different with dogs, with the little squeakers and the little mouths.
I like it.
Yeah, they need
Whatever you like.
Kill that little fish.
Yeah.
The little taco. Eat the whole thing.
Yeah. As always, we want to thank Ryan Cruz for our beautiful logo. She's a great follow on Instagram. You can find her at @RBCruiser. And our buddy Dylan Dutch for our wonderful theme song. He can also make your theme song. And you can follow him on Twitter at Dylan Dutch, DOETCH.
And he also has a new puppy too. So great follow.
Puppy alert.
And until next week, just remember that the only human bones that we want to see are on the inside.
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Why not be